Regressor of the Fallen Family. Chapter 17. It had been a week since Logan returned to the territory. He had been focusing on his training, occasionally inspecting the mercenaries along with Ronian and Victor. The first shipment of Karok meat from Kyle and Ironwood and parts from Triton's territory had arrived in the McLean territory. With that, Logan called for Hammer and handed him a blueprint. "What is this?" Hammer frowned at the blueprint spread before him. "I've tried to draw it as detailed as I could within the limits of my knowledge." Logan was not a professional technician, but he could produce plans of an amateur technician's level because he had used such weapons for decades. Of course, by Hammer's standards, the blueprint was nothing but rough sketches. A cartridge that stores bolts at the rear of the crossbow and loads them automatically, and the string must be triple layered to shoot 3 bolts consecutively. Hammer looked back and forth between the blueprint and Logan's face, his expression incredulous. "Even if I could make such a structure, the string wouldn't withstand rapid firing. Are you planning to make a weapon that's used once and discarded?" And if you attach such a wooden box right behind it, it would be cumbersome for the person shooting the crossbow. Who the hell came up with this? Nonsense? It was me. Cough. On second thought, the idea is quite ingenious. And that nonsense will later become a disaster for our kingdom, you fool. Fortunately, the problems Hammer posed were within Logan's ability to solve. Reduce the size of the bolts to decrease the overall size of the cartridge. Yes, it's meant to be used once. Instead, make the cartridge modular, so it can be reloaded after each shot. Excuse me? Let's just call it a magazine for convenience. It wasn't an advanced technological solution, but rather a shift in perspective that offered the answer, which shook Hammer's gaze intensely. Impossible. I've heard that recently a tool resembling a goat's foot has been invented that can load 4 to 5 bolts per minute, but this is far superior. By current common knowledge, a crossbow was a single-shot weapon difficult even for a skilled archer to fire twice in a minute. The crossbow Logan described surpassed his knowledge, a weapon that exceeded the times. He would have believed it if he were told it was an artifact enchanted with magic. Are you saying that you can make such a thing with just 1 cartridge? It will definitely work. Just try to make it. Logan's assertive promise left Hammer without further objections. To Hammer, Logan's explanation was not just an idea, but it reeked of experience. To add only 1 cartridge to such a revolutionary weapon, and the parts consist only of a mainspring and glue for the bowstring. I feel inspired to take on the challenge. All right, I'll make it. When do you think it will be possible? You ask me to make something unheard of and set a deadline? It's still a weapon made by humans. Excuse me? That's nonsense. Who? Where? There's no need for you to know. If you think it's impossible, give up. Really now? All right, fine. 1 month. Within that time, I will make you something far superior, Hammer declared assertively, his dwarven pride tickled by Logan's words. Only then could Logan smile at the response. The crossbow was powerful enough to penetrate armor, but it had been overlooked in times of war due to its slow reloading time, a hunter's weapon. In the modern warfare of the day, where the efficiency of archers releasing many arrows in a short time frame against massed troops was far superior. However, 10 years later when the Empire started a war, they created a repeating crossbow and used it to deploy massive crossbow units. This repeating crossbow unit demonstrated destructive power that could counter knight orders without requiring mages, depending on positioning. A single soldier with such a weapon could halt a knight given the right conditions of battle. It was one of the 2 reasons the Empire had overwhelming superiority in the early Imperial invasion wars. Of course, by the late stages of the Empire's wars, most countries had started to manufacture and utilize similar items. As a result, after the war ended, the initial version, although somewhat expensive, became a common weapon for lower mercenaries. But at this time, with just my mercenaries, I could deal a critical blow to the Teslan baronet family in the territory war. With his past life's knowledge, such a thought was not far-fetched. No, it's still problematic to be overly optimistic. It was possible that Hammer might not succeed in creating the repeating crossbow, or even if he did, the mercenaries might not be able to use it properly, or it might take time. Still, since he had already entrusted the task to Hammer and Kai, there was nothing more he could do. So, I need to prepare another contingency plan. In anticipation of the worst-case scenario, where the mercenaries fail to fulfill their roles, he needed another plan of action. For that, Logan sought out his father once more. "Do you wish to participate in the Night Order's training?" "Yes, I do." Logan's expression was firm, his gaze unwavering. However, his father, Patrick, who looked at his son with an expressionless gaze, gave an unexpected response. "I heard rumors that the abandoned South Manor has become the young lord's playground." "Excuse me?" "You've renovated the lodging, filled the storage with all kinds of strange things, and even placed mercenaries there. I understand you are living there now. Why not train there instead?" "It's just that those mercenaries are merely low level, and the real power of our family and kingdom lies in the Night Order, doesn't it? I would like to experience what it truly means to be a genuine knight by training with the Order." He was embarrassed to say it himself, but he had carefully chosen words that would please his father. "I recognize your strength, but joining the Night Order might inconvenience the knights. Hence, you won't receive any special treatment. Are you prepared to be treated like a new recruit?" It was only natural that he received a positive response. "Of course." Logan nodded readily. "Your lordship has been informed. However, are you sure you'll be fine without special treatment?" "Absolutely." Heinkel, the captain of the McLean Night Order, didn't look pleased despite the prompt response and the unexpected formal address from such a truant. Still, how can I not be mindful, even if told not to give special treatment? After all, he was the master's son, and recent events had not fostered goodwill among the knights. If only he'd said to treat him kindly, my heart would have been more at ease. The middle-aged knight with sprinkles of gray amid his brown hair felt as if those grays were multiplying in real time as he clenched his head. But as if reading his mind, the lump of trouble before him said something that appealed to him. 1 week. If I fall behind even once in the Night Order's training over the week, I will consider it as if it never happened and leave on my own accord. Agreed. Heinkel inwardly pledged at that moment. The intensity of the Night Order's training will triple for the next week. His fists clenched naturally. If this is simply a performance to look good, you will regret it, young lord. He could almost hear the screams of the regular knights, but Heinkel was already burning with enthusiasm. However, Logan was not joining the training simply to improve his reputation. Either way, the main force of the family is the Night Order. I need to win their hearts, whatever it takes. In the worst-case scenario, if the weapon he was preparing did not meet the timelines or the desired level, Logan was prepared to join the Night Order and actively head to the front line himself. Even if his force was not up to his father's standards, he was confident that he was better than most knights. So now I must build rapport by rolling with them. This was also crucial for Logan's personal training. I will now focus on improving my martial prowess. The Force Core learned through the divine sword vision could grow through mere meditation and not just physical training. But at its core, it was about the Force. Physical training was the most important study. Therefore, formal training with the Night Order would also greatly benefit him. Logan hoped this would become another variant in his plans. However, his resolve brought a tempest upon the unfortunate knights. Starting today, young Lord Logan will join our Night Order's training. Excuse me? What? What did you say? Did I hear that right? The young lord is training? Murmurs rose. In the early morning, Heinkel's words set off a tremendous ripple among the gathered McLean knights. As Patrick feared, it was not in a good direction. That fool? He beat Dominion and now looks down on knighthood? There's a rumor that the young lord has lost his mind. Is it true? So what? Our training will become easier. Don't be silly. You know the captain, right? It will only get worse. As if confirming their words, Heinkel added with a sinister smile, So I've added a new training regimen for today. Oh no, Captain, that's too much. Ah, I knew it would be like this. Damn it. Despite the intense opposition, Heinkel cleanly ignored everyone. I trust that you, gentlemen, will take pride in being knights. Surely no one wishes to embarrass me in front of the young lord. Understanding the hidden meaning of his words, the The knights all shared a grin. Let's suffer together. How long will the young lord last? I bet on 3 days. I give him 2 days. Then 1 day for me? Half a day. Is that too harsh? Nah, he might turn back immediately. They chuckled and scoffed, but the sound of their laughter didn't last even half a day. The beginning of the unimaginable training was horse lifting, not horse riding, but literally lifting horses while running. This insane exercise, unfamiliar even to the knights, soon erupted with screams from all around. Ah! The horses, drugged to be unconscious, weighed at least 5 times the knights' weight. The ordeal of carrying such a beast on their shoulders while running through the woods was an ordeal worthy of screams, even for force users. Even more infuriating to the knights starting this improbable feat was the sight of the instigator of this training. How is he so fast? Isn't that weird? He's that fool, right? Just a madman, huh? The one who initiated this grueling training was running ahead of them all. Their teeth gritted in the attempt to catch up, but the gap only widened. Even the intermediate grade force users, the sergeants acting as instructors, were gaping at Logan. Among them, the one most flabbergasted was Heinkel, the captain who concocted this training. Does this make any sense? What the... He had designed the training to expedite the young lord's failure, yet there was Logan sweating. Yes, but smiling, while the following knights grimaced. It looked as though the ones falling behind would be the regular knights if this continued. Anxious, he watched until a knight began to stagger with a groan. Such a disgrace. Forgetting the unreasonable nature of the training he devised, Heinkel glared at the knight about to fall. However, he couldn't just stop now that he had started. Elevating his force, Heinkel bellowed loud enough to echo through the mountains. Everyone halt! At his command, the knights all breathed a sigh of relief and collapsed where they stood. We'll take a 10-minute break. Ah! As the knights groaned, Heinkel casually asked Logan, "My lord, how are you holding up? It must be tough, right?" Expecting an answer implying difficulty, Heinkel planned to use it as an excuse to lower the intensity before the knights showed too much strain. "Oh, I can manage." Of course, considering the what? Fantastic training. Indeed, training with the Knight Order is quite stimulating. What? The very person who thought up this absurd training could not hide his shock. The knights listening nearby looked at Logan with the expression reserved for the completely insane, but Logan was serious.